What is going on, everybody? Light the beacons. It is show number 99, just one shy of 100 on Biscuits and SEC Live. Thank you all for joining us tonight. For all of you who have subscribed to the channel, not only are we close to 100 shows, but we also hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. So we are very thankful to each and every one of you guys who has subscribed. We know we are a small show, but we are growing. We are growing fast. We've got a lot of big plans in the hopper for the fall. And speaking of the fall, we got a lot to talk about tonight because we're going to go over and under. Which way are we going? Is Hammer going over? Is Bossman going over? Are we going under? We're going to go through all 16 teams. And then next week, we will make our full predictions. We'll figure out exactly who's going to win how many games. We're going to go through. Who's going to make the playoff from the SEC, and then look at our SEC standings. But this week, we're going to go over under. So, Hammer, what's going on tonight, man? Looks like a lot of home reno going on. I know you've been super busy with that.
Yes, we've been putting in floors, painting. I'm a DIY extraordinaire, so not paying anybody to do a thing around here. But, yeah, as you can see behind me, so my desk is set up in I guess what will be our living room. There's furniture outside of the frame scattered about. And then behind me, of course, we have multiple different shades of green paint that we need to decide on once we get to the downstairs. Still working through the upstairs at the moment. So, yeah, busy Chip and Joanna Gaines style out here, but excited for the season to kick off.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't think that our StreamYard thing is working right now in terms of who's on, who's off. So if you guys are watching this, you can see us. Hit us up in the chat. Hit us up on Twitter and let us know because I think our numbers are off. I don't think anything's – I can't tell if we are actually live or not. So it looks like we are, but it seems like we got a little glitch going on. So y'all let us know in the chat if we are rocking and rolling. All right, everybody, before we get going – couple housekeeping items as we always do here. Biscuitssec.com/newsletter. Be sure to go sign up for the Morning Biscuits newsletter. Hammer got that out this morning. Did a great job with it. Plenty of news. Everything you need to know about what's going on in the SEC every single week comes to you on Wednesdays. We're about to flip to our in-season cadence, which means Mondays and Fridays. Biscuitssec.com/newsletter. Make sure that you sign up there. And also, it's free. Always free. So check that out. Some of the best work we do. We've had folks in the industry follow us for a long time and tell us that it's one of their favorite things to read. So be sure to go check that out. We are also presented by the Steer Agency. Thank you to those guys for sponsoring the show. And then also we launched a show, Extra Biscuits, over on our YouTube channel because we can't fit everything here into an hour on Biscuits and SEC Live. So we got Florida preview that we just recently put up. That one went up yesterday with David Waters at GatorDave_GB on Twitter. He does the Gators Breakdown podcast. Was a lot of fun talking with him. He's a great guy, does a great job covering the Gators. So be sure to check that one out. We also just had Rivers Huey on. That one went live just about an hour ago. So y'all go check that one out. Rivers Huey at Rivs Huey across social media. She does a good job covering the LSU Tigers mostly in Baton Rouge is where she's at with 104.5 ESPN and LouisianaSports.net. But she's a Mississippi State grad, absolutely loves the Bulldogs, and is a Mississippi State super fan, grew up there in Starkville. So be sure to check out those episodes. And then finally, we went through the Biscuit Index. We do this every single year, and last week was our last week on the Biscuit Index. We went through Vandy and Mississippi State, but all of those episodes right now are up on our YouTube channel. So be sure to go check those out before the season gets started. So, all right. I think we're just going to jump right into this, Hammer. We could have talked about some of the news. We could have gone through and talked about the Jaden Daniels stuff. I think that one's been hammered in. But, yeah, talk to me. What's going on?
So, yeah, before we actually hop into team by team, I did just want to ask. I've got a couple of observations, broadly speaking. And I'm curious your thoughts here. So I wanted to just say, diving into over and unders this year, what I noticed, obviously, is this is a very competitive league. I don't love a lot of what I'm picking because so many of these games feel like coin flips this year. Maybe it's just that's how it's going to be moving forward. Maybe we didn't do this in 2018, 2019. And there were more coin flip games than I recall, but it feels like there's a lot of coin flips out there this year. So it feels very hard to pick. I mean, Vegas would reflect that. We'll go through them all, but the over and unders are pretty sandwiched in tight in terms of the actual numbers. There's not a whole lot of discrepancy. And my other observation was we did this independently, came up with very similar lists, but each of us has substantially more teams hitting the over than the under, which means we are very confident in the SEC out of conference because in conference, the math doesn't math to have all these, I think I have 10 teams going over and 6 under. So I'm banking hard on some teams to win some out of conference games that they might not be able to cash for me. So we'll see. Any observations for you?
Yes, that's good that you brought that up because I did want to say that at the top of the show and I had forgotten, but I hate it. All right. I went through this whole thing and I hate it. I hate the picks that I had to make. Some of these, I'm just looking through. I'm like, I'm literally going through these different teams and I'm like, I feel pretty good about this piece of it. I don't feel good at all about this piece of it. It's just almost every single team where I'm like, at the end of the day, I hate it. Oh, they don't. Oh, so true, Mike. So true.
That's what I mean.
They don't have their own
part of the
days.
hype machine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're part of the hype machine. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess, it's in the name, Biscuits and SEC. I think we're probably homers, but yeah, I am aware that there are checks on the line that teams I'm banking on are not going to cash, but I'm just getting it out there up front that the SEC is going undefeated in out of conference play, according to my over-unders.
It is funny too that you say that because as we were talking about this off air and before the show, I had not even realized that I had done that. I was just going through team by team and then doing the flip, right? Doing the reverse. Okay. You got South Carolina. They're playing Kentucky. I think Kentucky's going to lose. I think South Carolina's going to win. So one's red, one's green. And then I'm going through and it just didn't even register to me. And I start looking at all the out of conference games and I'm like, oh, I think I do have the SEC winning like every single out of conference game. Like, oh man, I guess I am a biased homer. But I don't think it's going to play out that way. And maybe even I will change my mind by the time we get to our actual record predictions and everything next week. But for now, as I was going through it, I think I picked all SEC wins out of conference.
I know. And there's a couple we can even talk about them tonight when the team comes up. But there's a couple I have in my head that I gave to the team to hit their over, but kind of like you, I'm like, I don't think I'm actually thinking they're going to win that game. But, you get caught up in the Kool-Aid. It's the offseason. We've been interviewing all these people that cover these teams. It's like, dude, I'm not picking against X against this Big Ten or ACC school. It's like I just talked to so-and-so and they are pumped up about the quarterback and the coaches. Everybody had great hires. And so, yeah, I'm not picking against them at the moment. Maybe when the time comes, I will, and I'll come to my senses. But right now I'm looking around like, all right, I need I need this team to beat their Power 4 opponent out of conference to hit the over. Boom. Hit the over.
Exactly. That's what exactly. Cash the over, hit the slots, baby. That's what we're doing tonight. And I will say too, it's like thinking of these games. I'm looking at like Mississippi State, Minnesota, and I'm drinking the offseason Kool-Aid. We just talked to Rivers Huey. I've got the recency bias going on with Mississippi State. I'm like, Kamario Taylor is unstoppable. You think PJ Fleck and his cue ball can scheme it up to stop Kamario Taylor? The answer is obviously no. So
Right. Yeah, that's a good example of one that in my over-under, I've got the Bulldogs winning that I'm like, why do I have the Bulldogs winning this game?
That's exactly
this
right.
Is a bad idea.
I think a lot of these too this is, we can point it out as we go through these teams. This is what I hate. I actually, this is how I picked it. This is what I hate. So let's just start rolling through, man. We're going to go alphabetical order here through the SEC. We're going to try to keep these to around 3 to 5 minutes, and we're going to have some fantastic schedule reveals for you guys. I think you're going to enjoy those. We really love a good schedule reveal here at Biscuits SEC. Become one of our staples of the show, at least in the preseason. So let's start here with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Over under for Alabama. Hammer, where did you go?
I went over. And to keep this brief, I don't feel very good about it. I am a little worried about Alabama overall. Just there's a lot of newness, new quarterback, a lot of new offensive line pieces. But I think it's historical bias here, but I see an 8.5 next to Alabama, and I think, yeah, they're going over that, right? I mean,
yeah,
come on. And even more recency, Kalen DeBoer has not gone 8-4, right? He was 9-3, 10-2. So even he's not stooped that low. Granted, it was not a 9-game SEC schedule, so it's kind of right in there, but I just had to go over almost out of reflex. Like 8.5, no, that can't be right. Over. But I don't feel very good about it, to be honest with you. But where did you land?
Drum roll, please. I landed over as well, but I feel the same way. I really don't feel good about that. In fact, most of the offseason in my mind, I think Alabama's on 8-4 watch. And because of exactly what you just laid out, I don't know who's going to play quarterback. I know both of these guys are talented. Keelan Russell could be a breakout star. If he ends up being the starter, I mean, this kid could light the world on fire. He has that high of a ceiling, but got a lot of new at quarterback. We got a lot of new along the offensive line. We're replacing a whole bunch at a lot of these different positions. You lose Isaiah Horton to Texas A&M. I don't exactly know if Ryan Coleman-Williams is going to have a big bounce back year. There's just a lot of question marks for this Alabama team that gives me pause. But I'm going through these games, and I'm like, maybe it is the logo bias, right? You're still like, hey, Kalen DeBoer hasn't lost that many games. Kalen DeBoer has been to a national title game before. He went to the playoff last year, wins a playoff game on the road. Like, if this quarterback situation is a good one, and you have to think that Kalen DeBoer is he coached Michael Penix Jr., right? I mean, the guy can coach quarterbacks. So I think I just leaned and just given Kalen DeBoer a little bit of benefit of the doubt to give Alabama the over.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can hop into it here and look at the schedule. I think that's the wrong schedule. Yep, there we go.
I like that one a lot better. Yeah, I hate Tennessee.
Yeah, this guy hates Tennessee.
He does. Yeah.
So you can see here, though, right, why it's at 8.5. I mean, there's a lot of losable games here. They lost to Florida State last year. South Carolina, I think, will be improved. Mississippi State, I think, is improved. Georgia, they're Georgia. Tennessee, on the road. You've lost your last 2, I believe, in Neyland. No, that's not true. But
no, just one. Mm-hmm.
That's a tough game. A&M, tough game. LSU, on the road, tough. Vanderbilt, we'll see. But you lost to them 2 years ago. And almost, it was a tight game last year. And then the Iron Bowl. So, yeah, man, losable games all over the place. 8-4 watch is not out of the question, but I do have them hitting the over. But it's a 9-3 over. I don't think I look at this and I don't see 10 wins.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I will say this. I think that Alabama's schedule, it's not on the whole, it tips toward favorable in terms of who they get at home, right? You get Georgia at home. That gives you a little bit of an edge to play them in Tuscaloosa versus going to Athens. You get South Carolina at home. Don't have to go to Willie B. I know that South Carolina, you feel like you're a lot better than them, sure, but South Carolina's given Alabama fits in the last couple of years. And then you also get Texas A&M. Don't have to go to Kyle Field. Get Auburn. Don't have to go to Jordan Hare. So your 2 tough away games there, LSU and Tennessee, those are definitely tough. Definitely not saying they are not tough, but I do think that they got a favorable draw in terms of who they get at home and who their away games are, in the SEC. So I think that might give them a little bit of push over the edge too when you're thinking about how many wins they're going to get.
Yeah, that's possible. The last thing I want to say, and then we can move on as far as I'm concerned, week 2 at Kentucky. Watch out. I said that, I think, on one of my walk and talk out of Stephen Willis's playbook here, but I don't know what to expect from Kentucky. Nobody knows what to expect from Kentucky. It's on the road, week 2. You're breaking in a new quarterback, regardless of who it is. And whether or not Kentucky turns out to be good, we talk about this a lot here at Biscuits and SEC. In week 2, Kentucky thinks they're good and they're confident. And they might get their brains beat in come November. But week 2, that's a confident football team. Regardless of what they turn out to be, they're going to be confident. They're going to have a good game plan. And Bama is not going to know what to expect because there's not going to be any film on Will Stein, Kentucky, that's worth a darn based on their week 1 opponent. So careful.
Right. I am totally with you there. And let's think about last year. What happened in week 2 last year? New quarterback for Alabama, even though he's been in this, been at Alabama for a while. New quarterback, new starting quarterback. They play Florida State. They go on the road and they lose to Thomas Castellanos, who they don't have a whole lot of film on in the Florida State offense. And they get got, and they had no business losing that game, right? And you're very similar circumstances here. Don't have a lot of tape on Will Stein, what he's going to be doing in Kentucky. Sure, there's a lot at Oregon or whatever, but Kenny Minchie, you might have some concepts of what that's going to look like, but we don't know. We haven't seen. There's not a lot of tape on Kenny Minchie. There's not any tape on Will Stein in Kentucky. Kentucky had a lot of big names come out of the portal. I'm with you. I think Alabama's going to win, but keep an eye on that one for sure in week 2. All right, let's hit second one here in our alphabetical order. SEC over-unders. Arkansas over-under 4.5. What say you?
Give me the under. I'm sorry. Reagan, our friend who came on, she maybe talked me a little bit into Ryan Silverfield long term. I still am not. I am not a believer this year at all, really. I think this is a pretty bad football team. I think they're in for a tough season. And I've got them under the 4.5. I see more like 3 and 9 personally.
That's generally where I sit as well. I think there's going to be a couple bright spots on this team, which has basically been Arkansas for the last couple of years. You've got 4 players that you're looking at and you're like, oh, worry about this guy, right? All right, let's game plan for him. We got to worry about Taylor Green. We've got to worry about Isaac Tesla. We've got a couple running backs who can run the ball. But in the grand scheme of things, there's just not enough talent, I don't think, on this roster to get over that 4.5. Now, look, Ryan Silverfield has a pretty good record against the SEC. Coaching at Memphis, he did a pretty good job. He beat Arkansas last year. So maybe he's able to get somebody this year. And I think Arkansas fans would be extremely happy if they just get one freaking SEC win. Looking at their schedule, pull it up right here. Go Hogs. Just make sure that I hope you like mashed potatoes. Go Hogs. But
mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. And that's the edited version for all the kids out there watching. Yes. So but yeah, just looking at this schedule, y'all tell me in the comments, where are the wins? North Alabama. I think they get Tulsa. And then who?
Yeah. I'll tell you, again, SEC homer here. I think we'll see how I feel in week 2. I think they can go get Utah. I hate that it's on the road, but Utah, we don't need to do a Big 12 podcast here, but Utah lost everybody. Kyle Whittingham's gone. Their whole team is gone. So I have no idea what to expect from them. I think it's possible Arkansas could clip them, but I don't feel great about it, especially being in Rice-Eccles. And as you said, the rest of them in conference, I mean, you better hope and pray you can catch, I don't know, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Auburn.
Yep.
Slipping. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, I don't feel good about it. I'm pretty comfortably on the under here. I think best case scenario, this team gets to 4 wins.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling too. So we don't need to belabor the point. Let's head right into Auburn. Let's head down to Alabama and Jordan-Hare Stadium. Over under on Auburn here is set at 6.5. And by the way, we don't have a gambling sponsor here. So I don't know where these lines came from. We just pulled them out of thin air. They came from somewhere, but if you would like to sponsor the show, please let us know. But over under on Auburn here, 6.5. What say you? Where do you have Auburn at?
Yeah, these are Biscuits and SEC lines.
We made them up.
This is our own proprietary model.
Yeah.
Y'all wouldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I have Auburn? Well, as you know, based on our Biscuit Index, I'm an Auburn hater, and obviously I have them going under.
Really?
I think this is much more likely. I think this is much more likely a 6-6 team than it is a 7-5 team. I wouldn't be shocked to see them go over. This is another team that I look at and I see a lot of coin flips. I don't really know what to expect totally from the Alex Golesh Auburn Tigers UCF or USF team that they've thrown together this year. USF. I think they could be good, but am I going to bet on that when they haven't had a winning record since 2019? No, definitely not. So 6-6 sounds a lot more likely to me. What say you?
That's kind of where I'm landing as well. I am the Auburn to me is a tweener team. So much banks on exactly what you said. USF. This is now just USF West. He brought a ton of that USF team. Everybody's saying Byron Brown's really good, all this stuff. Hey, maybe, could be. But this is a big jump from USF to Auburn and playing a 9-game SEC schedule. That's a very different thing. Alex Golesh has had very successful offenses in the SEC. When he was under Josh Heupel, Tennessee was rocking and rolling with their offense. USF, his offenses were great. So maybe, and he kept DJ Durkin, right? So it could come together this year for Auburn. There's definitely talent on this roster. So they're a tweener team to me. But here we'll go through this schedule here, till I collapse.
Fort Minor.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys don't know what this is about,
Fort Minor Harsin.
This is the former coach, Brian Harsin. This was a tweet from the Auburn football account in 2022, replying to a Barrett Sally tweet. Our coach is greater than your coach, and it's just Brian Harsin lifting, being a total hardo in the gym, which, hey, respect. He is totally in shape. He's way more in shape than I am. But I just thought that was absolutely perfect for our schedule. So anyway, Auburn, until they collapse this year, maybe they could get over 6.5, but I'm not seeing it. I thought that line was kind of high. I mean, for where Auburn has been in the last 5-10 years, like, man, I thought it was a little high, but I guess that's why it makes it tough, right? So yeah, for me, I'm going under here, but I do think that this is one of those ones I was looking at. I'm like, I kind of hate it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I agree with you. Auburn has not had a record better than 6-6 again since 2019. So with a brand new coach and a 9th conference game, why would I bet on them to do that for the first time since 2019? I'm not. Right. It's possible they could do it, especially at Auburn. Crazier things have happened, but if you're playing the odds here, I think the odds would tell you, hey, probably pick the under here. 6-6 is still a pretty good year in year one for Golesh. So yeah, I think, again, I feel pretty, there's a lot of picks I did not like. I feel pretty comfortable here that even if Auburn, goes out and wins 8 games, like I still feel like, I was probably on the right side. It just didn't break my way type of deal.
I'm just thinking of somebody joining us late and, seeing the number go up and seeing somebody join us and just see this schedule on the screen. Like, what is happening with Biscuits and SEC Live? But I will say the one thing I was going to say, hey, why would you bet on Auburn with a first-year coach and a lot of all this newness, install all these new things? But the one X factor there is that it hasn't come true for the last couple of Auburn coaches. But let's go back into history for just a second here. Gus Malzahn, Gene Chizik. What happened with those guys? Gus Malzahn in year one goes to the national title game in 2013. Gene Chizik, I believe it was year two. Was it year two with Cam Newton that he went to, or was it year one? It was year one. So 2-year-one coaches. I think it was two. So 2-year-one coaches. One of them wins the national title and a Heisman Trophy with Cam Newton, and the other one gets to the national title game. So, I mean, that's like only an Auburn thing. I honestly, off the top of my head, cannot remember another school that has anything close to that. So lightning struck twice for Auburn. I don't know. Can it strike 3 times? Maybe Alex Golesh has the juice.
Maybe he does. And like I said, it could happen. I feel fine betting against it. And if it's the exception, then clown me. But give me the under.
All right. Give him the under. Coach Harsin is pissed.
Yep. Let me lead here so you can give your kind of reasoning on the next couple, and then we can flop back. So continuing down the SEC in alphabetical order, we'll go to Florida. Over under 7.5. John Summerall, another first-year coach. Where you at? Over or under on the Gators?
This is at the top of my hate list. I went under here. I went slightly under. I don't think they're that much worse than 8 wins. And I've talked about this. I did the Florida Gators Biscuit Index. Going through that, it really surprised me how much talent is still on this roster, how much John Summerall was able to keep. I so far love all of the moves that John Summerall has made. I like the move that Florida made to hire John Summerall. I think John Summerall is going to be a great coach at Florida. He's winning the microphone every time I hear him. I mean, everything I'm hearing about this guy, I'm like, I love this guy. Buster Faulkner, love that hire at offensive coordinator. Don't know too much about what to think about Brad White yet. Let's wait and see. But John Summerall is going to have his fingerprints all over that defense. So I think that this Florida team is one that could definitely surprise when we're looking up at the end of the year and saying, whoa, Florida's back. But looking through their schedule here, I just ended up we still haven't, it's been a while for Florida. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a little bit since they were able to get over that hump, really since Dan Mullen back in 2020. 2021, I think, was a so-so year. So it's been a couple years, and I just want to see it. I think maybe they need to get the wheel spinning, get a year under their belt. I think some of these losses will be close. But for me, I'm going with the under. What about you?
I am on the under as well. A lot of similar reasons. Definitely do not love this one. Do not feel confident in it.
Mm-mm.
I love the John Summerall hire. He's done exceptionally good jobs in his prior stops in the first year as well. I mean, he took Troy to a conference championship game and took Tulane to a conference championship game. So he's shown that he can turn a program around in year one. You brought up Florida has a lot of talent. Really what held me back was, I think, one, you brought it up, Florida hasn't really done it in a while. 2, the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Florida has a lot of toss-up games. And in a toss-up game, it oftentimes goes to who has the better quarterback. And it's not that I don't think Tramel Jones or Aaron Philo are going to be good. It's just I don't have any idea. I've never seen them play, frankly.
Who knows?
Besides garbage time snaps. So, right, if we're sitting here preseason and I'm looking at a game, let's say against, Ole Miss, or, we can pull up their schedule here, right? If I'm looking at a game against, Ole Miss or Texas or Oklahoma or Auburn, all these schools, it's like, do I know that Florida has the better quarterback? Definitely not, right? So I just feel like they're going to be on the wrong side of some of these. But I'm with you. I don't love it. This one, I feel much confident in some of our other picks here. This one, I could definitely see them hitting the over, but I found myself on the under, but it's close.
Well, I want to do a quick thought exercise here, but I don't like the schedule you pulled up. I like this one better with the cleat yeet. But all right,
yes.
You bring up a good point about the quarterbacks and how we don't know what to expect. We have no idea. Aaron Philo, he's been in Buster Faulkner's system for a year when he was at Georgia Tech, but we don't know if he's the starter. Trimble Jones, we don't know how they're going to look. But let's run through the schedule real quick. All right, so Auburn, you got Byron Brown, so I would consider him a returning starter, right? Even though it's Auburn, it's different, but returning starter in the same system. Ole Miss, you got a returning starter. Mizzou, new starter, Austin Simmons. You got Kentucky, Minchie, new starter. Vanderbilt, new starter. Florida State, going to be a new starter. So you got at least 4 teams on that list who are going to have a new starter when it comes to – so in those games, and those are teams I think that you should be favored against? No? Except for maybe Missouri going 2? I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's possible, but again with a 7.5 win total, it's like they could win 3 out of 4 of those games and still hit the under. Because
definitely,
they've only got 2 non P4 out of conference games, right? So you might beat Auburn, you might beat Missouri, and you might beat Vanderbilt and Florida State, and you might still only get to 7 wins.
Yeah, no, that's definitely possible. And looking too, just look at week 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, at Texas, then you get Georgia's been handling you for a couple of years now, and then Oklahoma. Like, golly, man. I mean, at least you get to host Oklahoma, but God, that 3-game stretch, and thankfully you get a bye before Georgia. But man, that 3-game stretch is rough.
Very, very rough. I think again, so we're both on the under there, but not super comfortable with the Florida under. Well, speaking of Georgia and the team that has dominated, as our friend David Waters pointed out, and how that would be a big step and a big feather in the cap of John Summerall whenever he can get Georgia a loss, because Florida hasn't been doing that lately. Neither have a lot of schools. So Georgia, one of, I think, 2 SEC schools, Texas and Georgia, I believe, with 9.5 win totals. That is the highest mark in the SEC, at least based on our win total metrics. So can the Dogs get to double-digit wins, or do you have them going under in 26?
I have I mean, this is like free money to me. Why would you not bet Florida to go over 9.5 wins? I mean, it's been a long time. I have to look back. I can't even remember. Somebody tell me in the chat, how long has it been since Georgia did not win double-digit games? 5 years? Like, it's been a while.
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, you tell me. I think it is free money right here, and I think this Georgia team is solid. Go look. They've got the number 1 blue chip ratio in the country. You've got a returning starter who this is his 4th year in the offense, I think. He's been the starter for a year. He started multiple games in the play. He started the SEC championship and the games in the playoff the year prior. So I really like where this Georgia team is. They're just loaded with talent. So give me the over, just friggin' hammer the over.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm on the over as well. To answer your question, the last time, COVID excluded, because they went 8-2 during COVID, the last time Georgia did not win double-digit games in a season was 2016, Kirby's first year. They went 8-5. Since then, they have won 13, 11, 12, 14, 15, 13, 11, and 12. So not even 10. They haven't even had a 10-win season since his first one. So I'm with you. Give me the over here. Like, we can take a look at the schedule real quick, but it's tough, but they got to get there. I mean, I'm with you. I trust that team, that program, that coaching staff. They're going to figure out a way to get to 10.
Without a doubt. I mean, hey, let me tell you something. Call Uncle Baby Billy, because this is a scheme where we can make some money. Okay, 9.5, hammer the over. Georgia, that is free money right there. Georgia is going over that. Everybody's talking about Texas, right? A lot of people are everybody just takes Georgia for granted right now. Just kind of like, oh, Texas, and Texas A&M, right? And like maybe these guys, maybe LSU. Guys, Georgia, we just talked about it, is 2016. That was the last time they haven't won 10-plus games, excluding COVID. Hammer the over. Georgia's going over that. So, all right, I'll do this one. We're going to go Kentucky, and then you can take us into LSU. Kentucky here. Fascinating team. I love what Will Stein has done so far. I love what he's done in the portal. I started drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid on Kentucky. I still think there's some holes on this roster, but I think they're a very intriguing team. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, week 2 Alabama, keep an eye on that game. We don't really know what's going on at Kentucky in terms of Alabama having a ton of film on them, not a lot of film on Kenny Minchie. So with that being said, give it to me. What do you think? Kentucky over 4.5, or are they under?
I am going with the under here. I think, as you said, I like basically everything Will Stein has done since he's gotten there. I still think this team is more than just one transfer portal haul away from being, dangerous, let's say. I do think they probably sneak up and get somebody in conference play. I don't think they're going to go winless, but Louisville is a challenge out of conference to end the season. So you got 10 really good opponents. I just don't see this team with all the newness going over 4 here, or over 4.5. So I think 4-8 is more likely in my book. So give me the under here for Kentucky.
That's kind of where I sit too. This is one of those teams too, and I don't mean to be just window shopping with the logos and logo bias, right? Where I look at it and I'm like, loss, just because I see the logos. And I do agree with you. I think Kentucky's going to get somebody this year, but when I look at the schedule, I'm like, where? I don't know. I don't see it yet. So it's tough for me. Maybe by next week, I'll have found that upset before we give our full predictions with all the exact record prediction and the finish in the SEC and our playoff teams. But right now, I don't see it. So I'm also taking the under. Let's pull up their schedule here real quick. Hey, tell me in the chat which one is Kentucky pulling that upset on, or is there 2 that they're going to pull the upset on? As we mentioned at the top of the show here, Hammer and I are both just picking basically blanket right now with SEC going out of conference and just sweeping the slate. Maybe because we're sick of hearing all the anti-SEC accounts on Twitter. I don't know. But I've got them beating Louisville, which might be smoking some real good stuff, because Louisville's a good team and Coach Braum is one of the best coaches in the country, and Louisville's going to challenge for the ACC this year. So maybe I'm crazy, but I don't know. In the SEC, I'm having trouble seeing where that win is coming. Maybe Vandy at home, but gosh. Okay. Mike calling a shot. Holding you to that, Mike.
Yeah, we'll hold you to that, Mike. I mean, genuinely, it's impossible. That could never happen. A&M would never lose to an inferior opponent in Kyle Field. So right. That we can't even entertain that. Here's back again, beating Louisville. Yes, Mike. This is SEC bias. We are Biscuits and SEC. We are part of the hype machine. Where is Kurt Signetti? I am the hype machine. What's that line from Breaking Bad when he's telling his wife, I am the danger. I am the one who knocks.
I am the one who knocks. That's right.
Yeah. Somebody tell Kurt Signetti, we are the hype machine.
Yeah. Tell him Greg Sankey sent Biscuits and SEC to come knock on your door. I'm just kidding. I don't want to knock on that door. He kind of scares me. All right. Take me into LSU.
Yeah. All right. We're going a little off the rails here, but yes, LSU, of course. We don't need to get into the whole drama of the offseason, but of course, Lane Kiffin is there. Sam Leavitt, number one transfer portal class, huge haul coming in, as is typical of Lane, whether he's at Ole Miss or LSU, brings in a ton of guys in the portal, as evidenced by what he's done at Ole Miss. He's very adept at turning that into success on the field. Their over and under sits at 8.5. Are you buying the Tigers in year one to get over that mark, or pumping the brakes on the Lane Kiffin era in Baton Rouge?
I also hate this one, but I'm taking the over. And I just don't exactly know what to think yet. I mean, I know we spent a lot of money on this roster. The whole thing's been turned over. We got Sam Leavitt. I'm not as bullish on Sam Leavitt. I mean, he could be a stud. We're still kind of nursing an injury. Last season really wasn't that great. If you didn't have Cam Scatterbo to run the football for him, then he was okay. You lose to Mississippi State on the road, a 5-7 team, right? Who blew a bunch of leads. I don't know. I'm just not sold on Sam Leavitt yet. So I may come to regret this one. But when I was looking through their schedule, I ended up hitting the over. And one of the other things to mention is that when we were going through our Biscuit Index ratings, which you can go check out our LSU episode up on our YouTube, but I was looking through and just thinking about this LSU team, and I was looking through at Lane Kiffin's previous stops, what did year one look like? At Ole Miss, they were not very good. I think they were like 5-5, or maybe they were like 6-6 or something like that. Well, it was 2020. I think they were 5-5. So 5-5 year one there. But at FAU, year one, I'm pretty sure they went 11-3, and that was the same thing. That was a total overhaul, rebuild, just clear the roster. Year two, they weren't as good, but year one, they were really good. So I don't know which way it's going to go. Right? Tennessee, they were so before he left. USC, they were so in year one. So we have a little bit of data on previous Lane Kiffin stops, but LSU expects to win. So I don't know. I'm a little nauseous about this one, but I took LSU at the over. Can you hear me? Hammer's got a little lag.
You got me?
Yep.
I got you.
All right. What do you think? LSU over under 8.5?
Okay, I think. Sorry, we're on a bit of a delay here. A lot of the reasons you said, I am also on the over here. It's hard to bet against Lane with what he's done recently at Ole Miss. And yeah, there's a lot of newness there. It's a big portal haul, but that's kind of what he was doing at Ole Miss anyway, regardless of it being a new, staff and regime, a new place. Like, it's par for the course for him, is bringing in a whole new roster every year. And yeah, kind of like you, I don't love it. I don't know if, I'm with you. I'm not buying like LSU national title this year, but do I think they can get to 9-3? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I went over. Don't love it, but it's hard for me to bet against Lane Kiffin based on what he's done recently. Because trust me, I have bet against him many a time over the years, and he's made me look like a fool.
Yeah, same here. Well, here's our Yoga Lane schedule, and I mean, I feel good about them playing Clemson at home in week 1, and I'm looking through the rest of the schedule, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm a little worried about week 3, honestly, for Ole Miss, because I feel like I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, there's going to be so much pressure on Ole Miss to win that game, and look, good luck to them. I think that's going to be an amazing game. I got no dog in the fight, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch through the glass. But I'm a little worried that team's going to be pressing. And so, maybe that's a win in week 3 for LSU. But overall, looking at the schedule, I think you can find 9 wins there for the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, really, their SEC slate is not that bad.
Yeah.
You get Kentucky, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Arkansas. That's 4 of, in recent history, the worst SEC teams. So if you get 4 out of your 9 to be recent bottom dwellers, that's pretty good. 3 of which, are on the road. So you get to host A&M, you get to host Bama, host Texas. At Ole Miss, at Tennessee, very challenging road trips. At Auburn, not easy, but I think you can find 9 wins on there more often than not.
Yep, that's where I landed as well. And if you look a little closely, that is Lane's, maybe like his cousin, Lane Griffin or Kane Liffin. I don't know. But either way, that's one of my favorite schedules that we've made. Mustard bottles and golf balls and all. Not endorsing violence, of course.
Joey Freshwater.
Yes. I don't know who that is, so you'll have to explain it to me. Just kidding. I know exactly who that is. All right, Ole Miss. Speaking of LSU and that game in week 3 with Ole Miss, 7.5. That's kind of a low line for a team that made the playoff in a deep run in the playoffs last year. But there's a lot of change in Oxford. You got Pete Golding now. He's the head man full time. You bring back Trinidad Chambliss, Kawan Lacey. You got a ton of pieces, but you also lost a lot. LSU poached a couple. A lot of new faces there as well that you had to bring in through the transfer portal. So maybe that's why the line's a little bit lower. Do you think Ole Miss could get over 7.5?
I do have them going over. I think 7.5 is a little low, but this is another one that, I feel pretty good about them getting to 8 wins. I don't know how much more than that. And that's where I struggle because, as you said, a lot of new. I don't know. I really like what I've seen from Pete Golding. I haven't seen him coach a season before. So a little bit of unknown there. And, it's just their schedule is rough. I think that's a big reason it's at 7.5 compared to an LSU, right? Like, I think you look at those teams, to me, man, they feel pretty darn even. They basically are the same team. They've just switched sides. So, everybody switched sidelines after the year. But LSU's got an 8.5 win total because I think they have an easier schedule. And Ole Miss has a really tough one. So I've got them going over here. I think Chambliss, if I'm going to use that sort of quarterback, who has a better quarterback in these coin flip games metric that I talked about earlier with Florida, then I got to do the same with Ole Miss here. And he's the type of guy that can win you those coin flip games. So I think they can get to 8 or 9, even 10 is possible. But I do think they have a challenging schedule, which is why that number is perhaps lower than you would think.
Yeah, continue our trend of strong disagreement here. I'm going to take Ole Miss at the over as well. Again, we did this independently, and we came to these conclusions. And there's a couple that are different, but mostly we came to very similar conclusions. I'm at the over for Ole Miss too. Yeah. I just think that I liked what I saw from Pete Golding last year, and I got to see it this year. But I feel pretty comfortable that he's going to be able to get them over 7.5, especially with weapons like Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey. So I like what he did in the transfer portal too. Got multiple solid pieces that were needed, and the guy can coach defense. So I don't think Ole Miss is falling off a cliff. And if they go under 7.5 and they win 6 games, then they fall off a cliff. And I don't think that they fall off a cliff going from basically on the cusp of a national title and a pass interference call away from potentially getting to the national title and beating Miami to a 6-6 season. I mean, frankly, if they go 6-6, I think Pete Golding's getting fired. Like if they hit the under here, like, hey, look, you're not the guy. Like it's a Zach Arnett situation at Mississippi State years ago when Mississippi State goes 5-7 after having a 9-4 year, under Mike Leach, who, unfortunately passes away. So, I mean, I think you got to hit the over and looking at the schedule and what they have on the roster returning and confidence in Pete Golding and Kawan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss. I think Ole Miss hits the over.
Yeah. Well, here is look at that schedule. As I said, I do think very challenging. That week 3 and 4 is rough. I don't like the trip to the Swamp right after the emotional game that should be a dogfight against LSU. Then you have a road trip to Texas. You play Georgia, a road trip to Oklahoma. Like those are some really, really tough ones. And Louisville to start the season. Interesting game. I think that is one that, myself and most Ole Miss fans are chalking up as a win. But as our friend Mike of Off Season After Dark, who actually watches the rest of the country and is not an SEC biased homer, has pointed out, Louisville is good, and that's going to be a challenging game. So we're both on the Ole Miss over. I believe we have one more agreement, and then we've got 2 that we disagree on before the end of the night. So fear not, we will have a little bit of disagreement here before the end of the night. But let's move on to the other school in Mississippi. Mississippi State Bulldogs over under 4.5. This is year 3 for Jeff Lebby. They won 5 last year. Most people seem to think it's a better team. At least that's what the interwebs would have you believe, or Rivers Huey would have you believe. But the over under sitting at 4.5. So maybe Vegas is not quite sure. What say you?
Man, it's been tough for Mississippi State since Mike Leach passed. And you've fired Zach Arnett. Jeff Lebby comes in, and he's got it back going in the right direction. Last season, had a little bit of difficulty. You had some teams on the ropes, should have beaten them. Talked about that in my Biscuit Index. We talked about that with Rivers Huey. Tennessee's on the ropes. Texas, you have them dead to rights. Florida, on the ropes. Can't finish the job. I don't know. I'm just worried about where this program is at as a whole, frankly. So with that said, give me the over. Mississippi State goes over 4.5 wins. I think they win at least 5 games. So I will not be fooled. Last year, I took the under on Mississippi State, and I was wrong. And I am a big man to admit that I was wrong. But this season, okay, Jeff Lebby's going to get something figured out. You got Kamario Taylor at quarterback. That kid can play ball. I think they're at least going to win 5 games. I don't know if they get more than that, but I think they go over. What say you?
I'm right there with you. I'm going with the over. We agree on Mississippi State. I think Lebby's done a good job there. The roster turnover has been insane, but he took them from 2 wins to 5 a year ago. I know adding the conference game is a real challenge for a school like Mississippi State, but I think they can get there. I think they can sneak up and close the deal on a couple of those close games they couldn't a year ago. And this really hinges on the fact that I know for a fact they're going to go up to Minnesota in week 2 and pulverize PJ Fleck and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I mean, it will not be close. Those, like you said, like this is Minnesota in a rowboat rowing the boat, and Camario Taylor in his speedboat speeding by. I mean, bet the house week 2 on Mississippi State taking out the Golden Gophers.
Do not endorse. Do not endorse. But I love your confidence.
I'll probably pick against them in week 2. But right now, I'm feeling frisky.
Yeah. Hey, I like your optimism. I like your confidence. All right, let's we already know, as Hammer just laid out, in week 2, Minnesota's absolutely getting the belt from Bully. Now, who else is to get us to 5 wins? I don't know. We got Tennessee Tech, ULM, Minnesota, obvious easy dub, and then I don't know. There's a couple out there, but Mississippi State's gonna have to jump up and get some teams, and you're also gonna have to beat somebody like a Vanderbilt who won 10 games last year, and we'll get to them. But lots of newness there and new quarterback and all sorts of different things. But you're also gonna have, maybe you got to beat somebody like an Auburn, right? But remind you, what did I lead with? Last season, let's remember who they had big teams on the ropes. You had Texas on the ropes. You had Florida on the ropes. You had Tennessee on the ropes. So who's to say with the Camario Taylor, a much more talented quarterback in overall, right? His ceiling much higher than Blake Shapen's. Why can't you take an Alabama to the wire at home and maybe get them? Why couldn't you beat Missouri, right? I just think that there's a couple out there, and maybe I'm drinking a little bit of the juice after talking to Rivers earlier today, but I think they're going to be able to get a couple of these teams and maybe just get over that hump with Camario Taylor at the helm where they weren't able to last year.
Yep, I agree. I look at Missouri, Bama, Vandy, Auburn, all being at home. I think they can, at a minimum, one of them. I think they can sneak up on and close the deal. Possibly even 2, like you said. Vanderbilt, good program, lost a lot. Auburn, not been a good program. Maybe they have a good season this year, but those are going to be dogfights. Those are coin flip games. So it's very possible they could sneak up and get, a couple of SEC wins perhaps. But this one, all kidding aside, that week 2 matchup, if you're betting the over, you really want to get that one. Like, you might be better off just betting that game than betting the season over, because if they lose that game, I think it's highly unlikely they get there.
I agree with that. Also, this is one of the most heinous comments I've ever seen in our chat. And Mike, you're really on thin ice tonight, buddy. Okay. Watch yourself. All right. So let's move here into the Missouri Tigers. Missouri 6.5. I think this line is fascinating. I think this team is very intriguing. I don't know really what to think of them, except what history I have to go off of, which is that since Drink was able to get over the 500 hump, he has not gone back. All right. They have not reverted back to a 6-6 season since Drink got over that hump. What was it, 3 years ago or 4 years ago? And then he's twice won double-digit games when basically nobody expected him to win double-digit games. So I kind of have a trust Drink system when it comes to Mizzou right now. So with that being said, I took the under for Mizzou this year, which this might be at the top of my list of the ones that I hate, because I look at their schedule and I'm like, I just started chalking up, okay, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And I got to the end and I'm like, I guess I have them at the under. Well, that doesn't seem good. So I don't really know what to think about it. I don't feel good about this one at all. I could easily see Missouri hitting the over here. And we just talked to our new friend Maggie Johnson about the Tigers today. She's excited about a lot of the pieces they have. She kind of made me drink some of the juice, and then I went through it later today, and I was like, never mind. Mizzou under. What do you think?
You know what? Shame on you for not believing in Eli Drinkowitz. Elia Drinkowitz. I believe, for the record, I have them going over 6.5. It's insultingly low for what he has done there. I think there's a lot of newness there. They lost a lot on defense, but I trust in Drink on offense, and Batoon, the defensive coordinator, has done a phenomenal job. I just think they're going to scratch and claw their way to at least 7 wins, right? You brought it up. Drink has shown us that he's not somebody to bet against. He gets the most out of his team. I don't really know what to expect from Austin Simmons, but they won 8 games with Bo Pribula, who was not that good last year. And no offense, Brady Cook was not that good either. So I don't even think they need a great quarterback, to get there. So I've got them going over. I am a believer in Drink. The schedule sure scares me. There's a lot of coin flips, but I like Drink and that staff to get the job done and get to at least 7.
So here is that schedule with Darth Drink over there on the left, and that's what you got going on. You're all in on Darth Drink over here, and I understand it. Again, I laid it out. I can't believe I hit the under here, but I'm going with the under. But look, there's a lot. It's what you said. There's a lot of coin flip games, and in some of these, you were talking about the quarterbacks. I don't know what to expect necessarily from Austin Simmons. So with the coin flips, I ended up flipping the coin the other way. I went tails and you went heads, but there's a lot there. My whole thing is I think that some teams are going to treat Batoon like a spittoon this year. All right, and maybe it's Mizzou's time to fall back to the mean. That's mean. I don't mean that, but
sounds like there's a meme incoming.
Maybe I might have one. Thinking, yeah, I'm cooking.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, but I will say, speaking with our new friend Maggie Johnson today from Mizzou, That's Who podcast, made me feel a little better about the defense. They did bring in some talented guys in the portal who have produced at a pretty high level. So I think they can get it done, but I am a little worried about that for sure. I mean, you lose basically your entire starting lineup, depending on how you define that. They rotate guys a lot at the linebacker and at the defensive line position, but most of that defense is gone, and they were a top 10 defense last year. So we'll see. I like the fact that you get, Mississippi State, you get Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida. I'm really not worried about Kansas in the non-con. Obviously, I mean, SEC trumps all. So we should easily handle business in the border war. But yeah, I like them to get over, but I'm not running to bet the house on it.
Yeah. Again, like I said, this is one of the ones that I hate the most. So let's move us into Oklahoma.
Yes. So Oklahoma, this one, 7.5 feels low again, kind of like an Ole Miss from a year ago. You're thinking, okay, this team just went to the playoffs against what consensus, at least going into the season a year ago, was like the hardest schedule of all time. They go 10-2, return a lot. I mean, especially on offense, and over-unders at 7.5. So what do you think happens here? I mean, I guess I'll come out and say it. I've got them going over. I feel pretty comfortable that they're going to go over 7.5. Where do you land on the Sooners?
Yeah, I don't think this is as easy money as Georgia taking the over at 9.5, but I think it's right down. If we're talking, ranking it by easy money, I think Oklahoma's right up there. I think Oklahoma is definitely a better team than 7 wins. So I'm going to go at least 8. I think they're even going to be better than that, frankly. looking at this roster, I think this roster is absolutely loaded. I think John Mateer, healthy, is going to look much better this season, especially in year 3 now under Ben Arbuckle and year 2 in the SEC. I love this defensive line. They lost a lot on the defensive line, but their defensive line might be even better, as I said on the Sooner Smiths podcast. So I think that I love what Brent Venables has going on there. I love Jim Nagy, the GM there. He has done a great job constructing this roster, completely flipped it around last year, got them into the playoff. So I think that Oklahoma at over 7.5 is pretty easy money here. And I think they're probably going to go into Michigan and put B to A. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be, yeah, also bet that game. Easy money for sure. Oklahoma going to trounce Michigan. Bryce Underwood, not that good. So what do you think of that, Mike? I don't know. That's going to be a fun game to watch, though.
Hey, it will. Let's do a schedule here. You're talking about week 2. Here's John Rombo, Mateer. So stupid. But yeah, Michigan week 2 should be good. And part of the reason I say that too, if you recall, a year ago, Oklahoma went to Neyland Stadium and to Bryant-Denny and got wins on the road. So this team knows how to win ball games on the road. They're not going to be intimidated by, Michigan. And Bryce Underwood, I think, is good. Kyle Whittingham's a great coach. I just think Oklahoma has better Jimmys and Joes than they do at this point. And look, remember how good, Oklahoma's defense was a year ago? They got 7 starters back, like they are not necessarily reloading. They have a lot of guys back. So I love this one, the over here. Again, of course, it's a challenging schedule. Oklahoma can't seem to get over the Texas hump at Georgia in week 4 is tough, but the rest of it, because the most difficult ones they get at home. Ole Miss and Texas, after week 6, I think they're probably favored in every one of those games. Again, with Ole Miss and A&M being the closest, but you probably give the edge to the Sooners for being at home. So I like the over here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Looking at this, I mean, it's a tough schedule again, right? I mean, you just laid it all out, but I do think that they've got a real shot to get to that over. They're on 7.5. I think that 7.5 is low, man. So I think they got a good shot at it. All right, let's move here into South Carolina, the Gamecocks. This is another fascinating one, man. 6.5 wins is the line. Last season went completely sideways, off the rails. But going into this season, there's at least some hope. I think Gamecocks fans are feeling like, I think this team could get back to 8 wins. I think this team could challenge for 9 wins like they did in 2024. You got Lenora Sellers back. Right? You got Dylan Stewart. You've got some solid pieces in the secondary. So what are you thinking? South Carolina, the Gamecocks, they go over or under 6.5?
Well, I'm not quite as confident as our friend Mike, but I am confident that they can get over. I'm confident they can get over 6.5. Beamer is another coach. The wheels fell off last year, but his track record shows he usually outperforms Vegas. I think he's gone over the win total in 3 out of his 4 years there. This is a pretty talented team, too. We talked about them with Chris Marler of Locked On Gamecocks, and you did the Biscuit Index on them and looked at the blue chip ratio. They have a lot of talent. I love the Kendall Browse hire. I'm a Lenora Sellers believer. So I like them to get over 6.5 here and get to that 7-win mark at least.
I feel good about it too. This is one of those teams that I'm actually like kind of my surprise team. And Gamecocks fans may remember from last season, I was down on the Gamecocks. People were saying, they were started last season ranked, I think, number 13 in the AP poll, and they were out of it by, I want to say, week 4, and then never recovered and end up 4-8. And preseason, somebody asked the question and just said, who is a team in the SEC that is being hyped right now that you think could, the bottom of the barrel could fall out? And my team last season was South Carolina, and that ended up coming true. Unfortunately, this season, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. Spurs up, baby. I think that Lenora Sellers being back, I think him paired with Kendall Briles, and I think the fact that they were able to keep Dylan Stewart, I think that South Carolina is going to be challenging for 8-9 wins here. So I'm taking South Carolina at the over. Call me crazy. Maybe I am. But, Mike, I'm drinking some of your Kool-Aid, man, at least on this one. So I'm with South Carolina. Give me the Gamecocks to go over 6.5.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see our schedule reveal here. There he is. Cool guy, Coach Beamer, recreating the Spurrier picture. But yeah, I mean, look, again, we got the SEC going undefeated, so they're going to wallop Clemson in week 13.
Right. Easy dub.
Probably to get them over that hump, Yeah, easy dub. But again, yeah, they get Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. So there's some winnable games. They've been close with Alabama. They've been either close or have beaten A&M as of late since Beamer's gotten on campus. So there's a lot of toss-ups here. And yeah, I like Lenore Sellers. So I'm a believer in the Gamecocks this year.
Yeah, I just think there was a big mismatch last year at offensive coordinator, and that became super obvious very early on. And now I think you've got a coordinator that is going to play to Lenora Sellers' strengths and really give him ways to thrive and hopefully, finally activate Nick Harbor to be that absolute weapon that they've hoped for over the last couple of years. And he's had his flashes, but he hasn't been that guy who's 800 yards, 900 yards, over 1,000-yard type of receiver and just a problem for everybody. You got to account for him, but it hasn't been that. So maybe this year with Kendall Briles, I think he's going to be able to do that. Week 1, you got Kent State, easy dub, Towson, dub, Mississippi State. They're going to win 10 games this year. So I don't know. That's a toss-up. But this is a tough schedule. Look, by any means, at Alabama, tough. At Florida, that's not going to be easy either. Georgia's on your schedule. Clemson, at Clemson this year. You lost to them at home last year. So you get A&M at home. You've done very well against them at home recently. So it's very difficult schedule. I mean, gosh, at Florida, by Tennessee, Oklahoma, A&M in a 5-week stretch there is not going to be fun. And then, you still got to play Georgia and Clemson to end the year. But I still believe in South Carolina this year. I think they're going to be able to get over that 6.5.
Yep. I just hope Nick Harbor can, recover from what happened at A&M with the state trooper in the tunnel. Hopefully he gets his confidence back after that guy gave him the old shoulder shimmy.
So true. Thoughts and prayers.
Well, let's keep the train moving here. Tennessee, the Vols. A lot of unknown here. New quarterback, George McIntyre, Faison Brandon. We don't know. Probably both early on, if we're being real, until they have a real opponent. But another year, Heupel's breaking in a new quarterback. He's had so many there. Honestly, he can't get a guy to stay more than a year or two. And he's got another one this year. But they've got quite a bit coming back. Offensive line, backfield, receivers are all back. You think they have enough horses to get over the 7.5 win total here?
Yes. I really like Deshaun Bishop, and I like Josh Heupel as a coach. I think Josh Heupel did actually one of his best coaching jobs ever last season. By getting with all that happened with Nico Iamaleava, blah, blah, blah. And then we get to the season and he still gets them to 8-4. So I believe in Josh Heupel. I like Deshaun Bishop. I like some of the pieces that they've got. I like the hire of Jim Knowles and that they brought a bunch of guys over from Penn State. So I'm taking Tennessee to hit the over here. I think they're good enough to do it. And I don't think this is a 10-win team this year. I think they're about a year away from that, really, because of the quarterback, unless Faison Brandon or McIntyre just lights the world on fire. But I think that they're going to be able to get over 7.5. What about you? What do you think on the Volunteers?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really like what Heupel's done. I like everything that they have on offense, with the exception of the quarterback. But I know that Heupel is a guy who gets the most out of his quarterback. I mean, you said it last year. He did a great job last year with Joey Aguilar, who statistically had a really darn good season. There were some times and some big moments where he came up short, but holistically speaking, game to game, again, 30,000-foot view, man, he had a good year. And so did Joe Milton. And, he's done some things with quarterbacks that nobody else could do anything with. So whether it's McIntyre or Brandon, I think they're going to be okay. And I love Deshaun Bishop. Like you said, this offensive line is nasty. And I don't know, Jim Knowles is a good D coordinator. He brought over some guys from Penn State. I think they can get over 7. I'm with you. I don't know if this is a playoff team, but give me over on 7.5 all day.
With you there. Here is Tennessee's schedule. Bring it up just briefly before we head into the Texas Longhorns. I'm very intrigued by this Georgia Tech game in week 2. Obviously, Haynes King no longer at Georgia Tech. Buster Faulkner now at the University of Florida. So this is going to be a new look for Georgia Tech. I don't know much about the Yellow Jackets this year, but they've been pretty good under Brent Key the last couple of years. So I think that's an interesting game, especially for the fact that you got to go to Atlanta to play that one. But then going down the list, it's a tough schedule. We talked to Ellie Williamson about this. It's the SEC, man. It's tough. But I think that you're going to be able to pull 8 wins out of here. And I'm pretty confident in that. I think we've got enough from Josh Heupel now that we've seen to just trust in him that he's going to get at a minimum 8 wins just about every year as we laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. The game that scares me the most, honestly, week 8, Cocktober at Williams-Brice, just a house of horrors for Tennessee Vols. So say your thoughts and prayers for that one. But the rest of them, they can get it done.
Man, you just had to remind Tennessee fans of that game. And I think they would just have it. They've got like the blinders on, like, just don't talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We'll get there when we get there, but let's take it one week at a time because, that is a house of horrors. And they will never wear those orange helmets again. And I love those orange helmets, man. Those were beautiful. I'm a college football uniform connoisseur. I love checking those things out, giving my opinion about them. And I love those orange helmets, and they will never be seen again in Knoxville because of Cocktober. So let's move into Texas now. The Longhorns over under 9.5. A lot of people super high on this team feel like that Texas is a national title contender. You got Arch Manning coming back. He looked much better at the end of last season. You've got an offensive line that returns a lot as well. And then you've got a lot of pieces on this defense. Colin Simmons returns, and it's just a loaded team. So are you feeling Texas over 9.5, or are you going under? Hammer's having some connection issues, so we're trying to work it out here. Bear with us. We might have to boot him. All right, he has been booted. We'll bring him back in a second. We are figuring his stuff out. Oops. He should be coming back here in a minute. But I will talk Texas here for just a minute. I'm taking Texas at the over. I think this one's easy, guys. This roster is ridiculously talented. I think they've got the number 2 blue chip ratio in the country behind only Georgia. Actually, that's not true. Maybe they're I think Texas A&M has the number 2 blue chip in the SEC at least. All right, let's bring Hammer back. All right, we got you back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I in? Can you hear me?
Yeah, seems a lot better now. So I don't know what the issue was, but we'll work on getting Hammer's connection fixed. He's in a new home. Just bought a new home for those who are not aware, and we're getting some of these connection issues fixed up on the back end. But he just got new internet, I think, within the last couple of days. So no surprise, we've got a little bit of technical difficulties going on. But Hammer, I was just talking about Texas. I was saying that I think a top 3 here, easy money for the over on 9.5. You may disagree with me. I don't know, but I think it's easy money. I think this team is supremely talented. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the country this year. And I think they're going to be over 9.5 wins. What say you?
Yes, I will play contrarian, known Texas hater here. I do have them on the under. I think this is a 9-3 team. Mostly because, similar to last year, I don't know that I like them to beat Ohio State. That might be the one out of conference game that I'm anticipating an SEC team loses, and I don't quite know what to think of Sark, I guess, at this point. I mean, look, not no hot seat, no nothing like that, but I think there's just a lot of games that get tight, and I think Sark gets tight. Let's just put it that way. So I think it's a tough schedule. You get Ohio State, you go on the road to Tennessee. We can hop into their schedule here and actually take a look. And look, Texas fans will tell you it's the toughest schedule in the country. They never shut up about how hard it is. But Oklahoma is going to be really good. It's on the road at Neyland. Ole Miss, Missouri, you can't sleep on. They went to overtime with Mississippi State. I just don't trust this team. I mean, look, last year they finished 9-3. It was a good football team. They also went to overtime with Kentucky and Mississippi State. Could have just as easily been 7-5. And then what's the conversation that we're having? So I think they're really talented. I think their ceiling is a national championship. Do I think they bring it every single week with consistency? No, I don't. At least not to this point. Too often I see them underperforming. So I'm going to go with the under and have them prove me wrong. As Arch Manning looks like a woman throwing that football in the picture that you
he looks like an actor who's trying to play quarterback. When they're like pushing the ball, they get a guy who has never thrown a football in his life. That's kind of what it looks like. So I know I'm going to work on fixing that, or we're going to have a better schedule reveal for the Texas Longhorns later in the season. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm open to them as to what we should put on there for the Texas graphic.
I've got one right now. Actually, we can
please
do this live. Jeff Banks' wife's monkey.
Oh dear Lord! Oh my! What was her name? She had a wonderful name, a lovely.
I don't remember what her name was. but
oh my! Oh, I remember. She had her name was Pole Assassin, I believe. Do you guys remember Pole Assassin and her monkey?
You're right. It was Pole Assassin. You're correct.
It was Pole Assassin. God, that's a great point. We're going to have a monkey on a pole, without a doubt. Thank you, Mike. Yes, Pole Assassin right there. Oh, yeah, done. All right, we're going to fix that schedule for you guys. So, Texas, I think they get over. Here's why. You're talking about how they haven't lived up to the moment, and Sark, you're kind of where he gets tight in some of these games, and you just don't see it, right? And you feel like they're 9-3. To me, the questions that I had for them last season, going into the year, which turned out to be their problem, their issue, I believe they have answered, and that was the offensive line. I think the offensive line, they've got a new offensive line coach. You've got the offensive line is very experienced now. I think that experience matters. I think that showed later in the year as they got better. Texas A&M. Go watch that game. They absolutely road graded the Aggies, who had a pretty good defense. So I think that offensive line question has been answered. I think Arch Manning has answered the questions. I think we got to see it again this season, but late in the year last year played much better. Go look at his numbers over the last 5 games versus at the start of the season. And then not only that, but to me, they were an extremely talented team last year. They had a ceiling of the national title, and many were picking them preseason to win the national title. But they even upgraded the talent from what they had last year on this roster, including at the wide receiver position with a guy like Cam Coleman, 2 running backs out of the portal who were 2 of the top running backs in the portal. They could run the ball last season. So the questions I think that I had for them last year, I think they have answered them, which is why I go over for Texas there at 9.5.
Yeah. All seriousness or joking aside, I don't feel good about this. Again, I think their ceiling is winning the whole thing. So everything is there. I have a little bit of pause trusting that this team can be consistent for 12 weeks when I think they've, left a little bit to be desired over the years with some of that consistency, but very talented team. I like Arch Manning. I like a lot of what they have. So very easily could get this thrown in my face.
Very, very possible. All right, let's move to our alma mater, the Texas A&M Aggies. A little bit low of a line, it feels like, for a team that made the playoffs last year to be at 8.5. The 8-4 jokes, cue those. But it's an interesting schedule. It's a tougher schedule, it looks like, at least on paper in the preseason for the Aggies than it was last year. But go back to the preseason last year. Everybody was saying A&M had a hard schedule last year. But it just turned out that some of those teams weren't as good as folks expected in the preseason. Now, this season, looking preseason, it does look like this is going to be a much more difficult schedule for the Aggies. And you lost a lot of production from last year's team, some key pieces from last year's team, like a Cassius Howell, like a Torian York, Le'Veon Moss at running back. You lost Casey Concepcion at wide receiver. So folks, Vegas docking the Aggies a little bit, getting them to 8.5 at the line. Where do you think the Aggies are? You think they go over or under?
Come on. I think they go over. Some of this preseason stuff. Yeah, right now. Some of this preseason stuff just comes down to your biases, whether they're, inherited or true, or just, your perception. But I think I trust in Elko. I think there could be a drop off based on what A&M lost. They had, a ton of guys drafted, double-digit draft picks last year, including some guys that did not get drafted but were big contributors last year. So a lot to replace, but I trust in Elko, and I like Marcel Reed. He didn't a lot of unjustified hate based on how the last 2 games of the season went against really, really good defenses when he went 11-1 as a starter. So, yeah, it didn't end well, but if those 2 games had happened at the beginning of the season and then he, reeled off a bunch of wins, people would be saying he's the best quarterback in the country. So I'm a believer in Reed. I'm a believer in Elko. I think the defense is going to be nasty. So I think they can get to 9 wins. I'm not saying they're going to repeat and go 11-1, but I think 9 is doable here. So I'm going over. What say you?
Talked about it on our biscuit index for the Aggies. It was one of our longest ones. Sorry, but it's the team I know the most about, our alma mater. But I would suggest going and checking that one out if you guys haven't. Put a lot of work into that one. But one of the things that I said on that was this year is the question for Mike Elko. Are the Aggies under Mike Elko a team that regresses, or is it a team that reloads? Right? If there's a lot that they lose, do they regress? Do they regress back to the mean? Do they go back to Texas 8-4? Or is this a team that reloads? And he's done pretty well in the portal so far. He has gotten some big pickups in the portal. Casey Concepcion being one of them last season. Mario Craver, another one at wide receiver. So Marcus Ratcliffe, who's going to be a starter at safety. He brought him out of the portal. That kid's going to be he's a 2-year starter now at A&M. So Cassius Howell, another one, right, out of the portal. So he's got a proven track record, at least for a year, that shows that he can get these guys out of the portal, and he has a really keen eye, and his staff has a keen eye for talent. So I think this is reload. I think the Aggies go over. I think they are better than 8 wins. I don't think they're going back to 8-4 under Elko. That 8-4 was year one. I think that was the baseline. And remember, the Aggies in that year one, when they did go 8-4, 8-5 with the bowl loss to USC, they were on the cusp of the SEC title game going into the final game against Texas. So one win, you beat Texas at home, you're in the SEC title game. So like it wasn't this 8-4 of like, oh, they're just 8-4 again. No, it was, hey, they were right on the cusp of an SEC championship appearance. So I think the Aggies are better than that. My only big question for the Aggies is the offensive line. I don't know. I trust Adam Cushing here. He has shown that he's a solid offensive line coach. So I'm trusting him to be able to get this hodgepodge of transfers together. And if he's able to do that, if they're able to protect Marcel Reed, and I hope they release Marcel Reed a little bit more with his legs this year with Holman Wiggins, I think this team is definitely good enough to win 9-10 games. So give me the over.
Love it. Thank you, Mike. Appreciated. Let's close this out. We got one more over-under to get to. Vanderbilt Commodores won 10 games last year. Over-under this year set at 6.5. Do you believe in Clark Lee in the doors?
I have a lot of trust in Clark Lee. What he's done over the last 2 years at Vanderbilt is super impressive. Diego Pavia was a solid player, gets the second in the Heisman. I loved his swagger, all that stuff. Eli Stowers, former Aggie, over at Vanderbilt, absolute stud, Mackey Award winner, totally deserved. I think Jared Curtis is going to be very good at Vanderbilt. But not so fast, my friend. I am going under here for the Vanderbilt Commodores. All right, I'll say it. Vanderbilt fans, they were really mad about my wine meme last week, which I thought was very benign.
Yes, they were.
And funny, but they were really angry about that. So I am sorry. I didn't realize you guys are so Charmin soft, but you can get mad at me again because I think Vanderbilt is going to be under 6.5 this year. I don't see it with what they have on the roster. Jared Curtis isn't good enough yet. He's a freshman. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire. I don't think he's got enough around him to light the world on fire. I think they're going to be pesky. I don't think they're going to be, getting blown out by everybody like they used to be. And I think that Clark Lee will probably have them right back to competing again next season, which I think Jared Curtis is going to start. So a year of salt, Jared Curtis next year. I think Vanderbilt is right back to competing. But this season, I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. I'm going under. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I love what Clark Lee has done. I love what Tim Beck has done, and Jerry Kill, that whole staff. I'm going under. I hate to do it, but I'm going under. I mean, not only did they lose Pavia, I believe they're like 100. I think they're last in the SEC, like 105th in Bill Connolly's returning production. Most of that was Pavia, but they lost a lot of other guys too. It's just hard for me to see them losing what they lost. I mean, look again, yeah, you're Vanderbilt and you had a guy finish second in the Heisman. It's never happened to my knowledge. Fill me in here if I'm missing someone.
It was
but
one time.
You lose somebody like that, it's a lot to replace. And 6.5 is kind of low again for a team that won 10 games last year. But I look at that schedule thanks to Patriot super jacked Clark Lee here, and
the Commodore. That's the Commodore to you.
The Commodore. Lord, oh my gosh. But I just see a lot of games.
He looks like John Cena.
He does. Yeah, I just see a lot of games where you're going to be an underdog here. You know, I see a lot of games where you're going to be an underdog, and I think they can jump up and bite somebody. But like you said, Jared Curtis, I love his long-term play, his long-term future. I don't love him starting as a true freshman on a team that is last in the SEC in returning production. You know, I mean, he's going to be looking around for guys that have been there and done that, and there's not going to be anybody. So good coaching staff. They're going to be in games. They're competitive. I struggle to see them getting to 7 wins. So give me the under.
Yep. That's where I'm at as well. And this was one of the only ones here where I went with an out-of-conference team beating an SEC team. I think NC State gets Vanderbilt in week 3. CJ Bailey, pretty solid quarterback. NC State projected to be in the middle of the ACC, but they're also projected to be, I think, 8-5. Pretty solid team. Going to be pesky, I think, in the ACC. I mean, that's typically what the Wolfpack have been under Dave Doran anyway. So with a quarterback like CJ Bailey, I think experience, talent, all that stuff, and first-year quarterback, I don't know. Vandy, good luck. I would love it if you prove me wrong. I'm not rooting against you, but I just don't see it this year. I think it's going to be under that 6.5 mark. So, all right. That's been it right there. Here is Hammer's over-under. This is where he landed for the 2026 season. Over on Georgia, under on Texas. Man, he may come to regret that one. Ole Miss over, Alabama over, OU, A&M, Tennessee, Mizzou, LSU, all over. And then you get to the unders, went under on the Florida Gators, Vandy under, Kentucky under, Arkansas under, Auburn under. Oh, there's a couple in there, State and Carolina on the over as well. Here's where I landed for my final over and under of 2026. Georgia, Oklahoma, A&M, Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, the Gamecocks, and Mississippi State and LSU on the over. And then the rest of my unders you can see right there on your screen. So this has been a blast talking over and unders. And next week, we will be doing our full predictions. Okay, so we will go through, we will make record predictions for each team. We will walk through the schedules again, and then we'll tell you who we think is going to be winning the SEC, what the standings are going to look like, and then we'll get into what teams we think are going to make the playoffs out of the SEC. So probably another long show next week. We are yet again the Joe Rogan or Modern Wisdom or whatever you want to call it of college football here. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. We got plenty of you watching us right now, over 120 of you watching us right now. So we appreciate every single one of you hanging out with us tonight on this Wednesday night to talk some ball. Football is so dadgum close. We got two segments here that we always do to close out our show. We have got our Leach Coach of the Week and our Biscuit of the Week. So let's talk first Leach Coach of the Week. I do have a quick Leach Coach of the Week. I saw this clip today. I think it's pretty daggum funny. We love Coach Leach around here. He exemplifies what it meant to be a college football coach. Loved his players, loved the game, and had just the funniest guy around, man. We miss him every day. But we honor him every week with a Mike Leach Coach of the Week award. This week, it goes to a man who's in a new place out where the tumbleweeds roll. So here is your Mike Leach Coach of the Week.
Brain's going constantly, and so it's something I don't sleep very well. I've had a couple armadillo problems tearing up my lawn, and so finally a couple days ago I just popped up at 2:30 because I couldn't sleep and thinking about something. I thought it was a great opportunity to go outside, and luckily I found him. This is my first experience with an armadillo, and he was crushing my yard, my flower beds, digging everything up, and but I got him about 2:30. I had to send a text message to my neighbors. I apologize for the gunshot. I am in the country, so it was illegal. But but I did get rid of him just because I don't sleep right now. I think just naturally that clock's going off in your mind. Continues to race on the things we're doing good right now and what we need to continue to build.
Oh, there's Eric Morris at 2 a.m. in Stillwater, blasting an armadillo who's been tearing up his yard. So that's what we like to see here at Biscuits and SEC. Coaches taking care of business when it's needed, and Eric Morris certainly did that, the new coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Bravo, Coach. Bravo. Way to send a message out there to the rest of the armadillos that you will not be messed with.
Yeah, he's on the hunt for the rest in their den. So there you go. Eric Morris, the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He is your Mike Leach Coach of the Week. He will have his certificate in the mail, which should get to him in 5 business days or 5 years. I'm sure he is super proud of his major award. All right, the final segment that we do every single week here, our Biscuit of the Week. We are Biscuits and SEC. We love Southern food, Southern culture, all of that. That is exactly why we named it Biscuits and SEC. And, of course, SEC football. Many have said, including Time Magazine, that this is the #1 podcast for people who love SEC football and people who love biscuits. So of the 120 of you watching us, that means you're one of them. So we appreciate the listens and the watches. Biscuit of the Week right here. We've got a great one. We talked with Rivers Huey today about the Mississippi State Bulldogs. That is up on our channel right now, the Extra Biscuits. You can go check that out of our preview with her on Mississippi State. She gave us a great biscuit that I wanted to highlight here. Here it is, man. Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. When she told us, we did not know what she was talking about. We'd never been there, couldn't picture it in our mind other than the fact that it was a biscuit. And then I looked it up online. I was like, oh my gosh. She told us that her and her friend who went to go get these biscuits, they waited about an hour in line to get these biscuits. And once I saw the pictures, I understood why, because my gosh, that looks incredible. Check this one out. I made 2 graphics because they look so dadgum good. Frankly, I'm ready to get a plane ticket and get on a plane to go to Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen right there. So talk to me, Hammer. What do you think? How does that look to you?
It looks phenomenal. I am Google mapping this right now. I could be there in 3 hours and 20 minutes from my house. So I might have to hit the road early, and stop in there. I mean, shoot, I'm going down Friday to Myrtle Beach for the week, so maybe we will stop in there. I don't know if that's on the way, but I am very interested in this Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen. That looks phenomenal. And Rivers even said she's not a big biscuit gal, so this is coming very highly recommended from someone who's maybe not a big time biscuit eater. So that looks phenomenal. I might have to stop in there.
Yeah, right. So from someone who's not a big biscuit lover and waited an hour and said they were definitely worth it. So y'all be sure to go check out Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, if you were ever in the area. And Hammer, it can be on the way. Those biscuits can be on the way to Myrtle Beach if only you have the will. And where there's a will, there's a way. So hopefully you can check those out on your way down there. Convince your lovely wife to get down to Chapel Hill for a biscuit. So I think we have lost Hammer again. Maybe he's back. There he is. He's back.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah. I'll just tell her, yeah, we have to stop there.
Yeah. Sorry, honey. We've got to go far out of the way. I've got something I have to do. Okay, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, please be sure to go sign up for the Morning Biscuits newsletter. Go to biscuitsandsec.com/newsletter. Hammer got it out this morning. Did a great job. Everything you want to know about what's going on in the SEC. We give you all the news and notes, all the biggest stories that you guys need to be caught up on with what is going on in the SEC. Comes to you every Wednesdays in the offseason. We're about to switch to our in-season cadence, which means it comes to you on Mondays and on Fridays. So be sure to get in before that starts. Always free to sign up right there, biscuitsandsec.com/newsletter. Also want to highlight that we are part of the After Dark Network. Right there, Tuesday, a.m., off-season after dark. Mike, what do you got going on here? If you're still around with us, let us know in the chat what is coming up on off-season after dark. SEC After Dark. That is on Thursdays, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. We will be on tomorrow night with the whole gang, the whole crew. That is where we make our picks every Thursday night during the season. So y'all be sure to join us. We're going to have a ton of ball talk tomorrow, and we are so close to picks. They are coming back. Tuesdays, 6:30 Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. This is on a bit of a hiatus right now, but our friend Jake Thomas does Bama After Dark too. He is about to, I think, get that geared right back up to start talking some Tide football as we get closer to the season. Here you go. Mike filled me in. This is what he's got going on off-season after dark. Oklahoma State episode. Hey, what do you know? We were just talking about them. Oklahoma State tomorrow, Middle Tennessee, and Louisiana Tech. As you can see, he covers all sorts of teams, not just in the SEC, but he covers all of college football. So y'all be sure to go give him a follow at Offseason AD, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. And I think he's got a Spotify too, so check him out there. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been Biscuits and SEC Live. This has been our 99th show. We've got over 120 of you watching us right now. We really appreciate every single one of you. If you liked the show, follow us on social media at Biscuits and SEC. You can see it right down there. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so that you never miss an episode. So, everybody, for Hammer, I am Bossman. Stay fresh, stay Southern, and remember, there's always room for one more biscuit. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for SEC After Dark.
Appreciate y'all.